So now that the president has spoken, let's analyze it a little bit here with our all-star panel, Michael Shure, Jimmy Dore, and Kasparian. And I say the first 80% of the speech was really strong, stronger than I expected. He came out guns blazing, like the State of the Union. I thought he was going to be a little apologetic about it, right? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't. He's like, no, for these reasons, X, Y, Z. State of the Union is strong as it's always been. And let me tell you the good things that we've done. We've got more energy production. We've got this. We've got that. We've got the lowest unemployment in the last 5 years. And healthcare is helping people, et cetera. But in terms of what it has proposed, well, in the end, you still have the same things, which is, a little increase in minimum wage for a limited number of people as federal new hires under federal contractors. That's a very specific group, right? That subset right now is 0 people, right? Now, he had some good lines about how we need to give America a raise. So he did talk about minimum wage, and he did talk about immigration reform. But these are all things that he's been trying to do for a long time. We know are on his agenda. So in the end, I thought it was a really good speech, but not a lot of action items, which just about sums up President Obama.
There was a lot of very flowery language, and I actually didn't like the fact that he came out and said the state of our union is strong, because Americans are feeling what the state of the union really is, and it's not that strong. And I mean, he touched on a lot of things, and he made it seem like, oh, everything is much better than it really is. For instance, the housing market. I know that it was a very, very brief part of his speech, but the reason why the housing market is so great is because banks fucked everything up, and then now they're going back and they're buying out all of these homes, and they're using it as rental property. So we're not seeing more middle-class people buying these homes.
But
it's really the big banks.
Housing starts up as well. It's not just that. I mean,
that's a huge chunk of it, though.
But housing starts being up is always what the housing market has been based on. And housing starts being up. It's the first time in a long time that housing starts.
I know, but again, middle-class homeowners, that's not increasing significantly. It's really the big banks buying it and renting it out. And also, the banks are manipulating the market big time because they're holding on to foreclosed homes, making it seem as though there's a lack of inventory. So that makes the prices of the homes go up. So that's a bit of an issue. And then he talks about education, and he talks about student loan debt. I mean, what are you really going to do for student loan debt, right? You guys allow the interest rate on federal loans to increase. At the same time, whenever the banks or whenever corporations specifically borrow money from the federal government, the interest rate is much lower. I think it's about 0.75%. Some of these students are spending or paying 6% for their federal loan. So look, these are specifics and everything. I just feel like there was a lot of really strong language, flowery language, but the reality of our State of the Union is that it's not as great as he's making it out to be.
Yeah, and he's talked about how we the country's not standing still, and we will not stand still. So there's a lot of moments whenever you have a person who's great at making speeches, you have a lot of moments where you're like, yeah, what happened? Yes, yes. And then at the end, it's kind of like a sugar high, and you're like, wait, what are we doing this year? We're going to try to increase the minimum wage a little bit, do immigration reform, which we've been trying for all this time. Mm-hmm. He said close Guantanamo. I hope that's the case.
This year, he says
that was a bold thing to say.
Which is a bold thing to say. And listen, I mean, I think his ability to make speeches is overrated. I don't think he makes great speeches. I think he's a good campaigner. I don't think he's that great a speech maker. When you look at look in the pantheon of Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton and others, I don't think he's that great a speech maker. I think what has been able to do is connect with new people in a way that other presidents, other candidates haven't. I think his last 2 speeches, this included, I think this is an excellent State of the Union speech. It's really hard to give a good State of the Union speech. It's so full of laundry list that you have to make things stand out is really difficult, technically and emotionally. This speech and the speech he gave about assault on women in the military, I think were 2 unbelievable. Those were more remarks than a speech, but it was a speech. Really, he's kind of on a roll here. And I think this is, you see he's down in the polls, you see he's down within his own party, and I think this is sort of his way of starting to communicate again and get back there. I think that it cannot be underscored what kind of a speech this was for the president.
What I had written down was that, it's the old Obama. So the guy comes out and makes a great speech. He makes a flowery speech. He gets me just like, Jack, let's do it. And then, of course, when you think about it, it's same old shit, and none of this stuff is going to be implemented, right? So,
but that's not, you put that on Obama. I think it's different when you judge a candidate than when you judge a president giving a State of the Union. Because, the things that Anna's talking about, the things that you're mentioning, the things that we've talked about in such frustrating ways, those are the fault of the U.S. Congress a lot of the time. Those aren't. It's not Obama's fault that $75 billion in pre-kindergarten funding wasn't put into place this year. It's the fault of the Congress.
So I'm somewhere between you guys, because I agree with Michael. Yes, Congress doesn't pass those things. He wanted to close Guantanamo in the first year, and now we're going to be into year 6 and still not quite closed. I mean, so we're past year 5, still no. But he's trying, and he came back again. He didn't try for a long time. He's now trying again. So I understand what Michael's saying. On the other hand, the other way that you can go to Jimmy's point is, so the Republicans are blocking him, so you fight him harder. So you take this opportunity, like this is a bully pulpit, as you mentioned in the middle of the speech, Michael, as we were doing the play-by-play, right? So this is a bully pulpit. You come in and you say, hey, listen, here's how you're blocking me, X, Y, Z. For example, you broke the record on filibusters. I'm calling you out. You broke, right. Sitting right there. You broke the record on filibusters. You are being obstructionist, and you know what? The American people need to know who is at fault.
But
and if Americans need a race, the guy's blocking it is you, and this guy in the green tie behind me.
Who refuses to stand up when I say
but in a way, he did that a little bit tonight. He said, "I'm going to use my veto pen if you don't do this on Iran. I am going to use executive orders now, as I did this morning on minimum wage. You can discount the minimum wage that it doesn't affect that many people. It is a symbolic show of the president's ability to do that. He's saying, I'm going to do it.
But you know when you stop the symbolic shows? When you're actually president. That's when you take action. But
there is precedent to using these executive orders too. And listen, if he runs roughshod over these people with executive orders, that's going to damage his brand, the party's brand. It's going to.
That's what he's worried about.
But it's going to be dictatorial. I mean, in a way.
No.
And, yeah, well, but
he's a long way away from that.
He's way away. I know, but what I'm saying is the behavior. I'm not saying that he will be. The behavior is dictatorial if you use it on every single issue. I mean,
what Cenk was saying earlier, I think, is what I was trying to say. It's like, why don't you lay out for the people? Because the people aren't smart enough to know what's happening day to day. They have lives, jobs, and kids. So why doesn't he lay out, say, hey, by the way, I was trying to close Guantanamo, and the Republicans keep putting a thing in every budget bill that says I can't.
Yeah.
They're saying I can't. So he never says that. People are like, well, why isn't it fucking closed? Why you said you've been wanting to close it for 5 years? Why don't you fucking close it? And he never says why. And that's exactly what Cenk's saying. And what he's saying, why does he point to Mitch McConnell? He is the guy standing up, unprecedented amount of filibusters. Why is Washington in gridlock? Because they oppose everything that even their own ideas. And he didn't say that.
It's fantasy land. I'm with you in that fantasy land. But it's fantasy land.
How do you mean it's
Why
fantasy?
is it fantasy?
Because that's not the way, unfortunately, or fortunately sometimes, that the American government is practiced right now. And I'm not saying it in an apologetic way. It just isn't. A president isn't going to go up and call out Mitch McConnell by name. But that's what I'm saying. I agree with you, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to turn this speech on and think you're going to see that.
No. So I mean, I totally agree and partly disagree with Michael. So he's absolutely right on the facts. I mean, that's not how they do the State of the Union, generally speaking. Some presidents are far more aggressive than others. I mean, of course, Bush will say you're either with us or against us. He means that towards other nations, but sometimes he meant that towards Democrats, et cetera, right? And Washington pundits would hate the speech that Jimmy and I just outlined. They would say, oh, Obama was so impolite, and I can't believe this was not a moment where you're supposed to play partisan politics, which is nonsense. Of course it is.
But this is partisan. He did play partisan politics.
No, I know. And he did, but in the exact strictures and parameters that the Washington media finds acceptable.
Yeah, very subtle.
But they find it acceptable because it's precedent. I mean, that's the way it's been done.
Well,
and before the Washington media was this sort of monolith. The media covered these speeches.
So I'm with you. So I agree with you on the facts. The part I slightly disagree on is that I would be willing to break that precedent given the number of precedents the Republicans have broken, right? So I said, look, I would have respected your precedents if you had respected the precedents on filibusters, on judicial nominees, which we showed today on the show. I think this term it's going to be projected to be at 45. Before Clinton, the most it had ever been for judicial nominees at that level was 2. 2 for Reagan, and I think 2 for one other president. And that's it. Now it's going to be 45. You broke the precedents. It's not that I couldn't get along with you. It's that you would refuse to get along with me. And the thing is, Michael, you're right. He kept going in that direction, and he did it as much as he could within the parameters of this accepted way of acting in Washington,
Yeah.
right? I would have gone past it.
Okay.
Right? So now, in the end, what I have to say is, look, it was a good speech. I don't think anybody's going to look at this and say it was a bad speech or a poor speech or a downer speech or anything along those lines. But in the end, there's not much meat on those bones. And
Yeah.
you're not walking away thinking, oh my God, this is going to be an exciting year where we're really going to take the fight to them.